Recently, you might have seen an ad circulating on social media. Vinod Kambli enjoying an ice cream with a big smile on his face. Now, to understand the thought and the creative direction behind this ad, we have here with us Zervin Rana, the director of Dinshaw's Dairy Food Limited. Welcome. Thank you for speaking to Impact
Thank you for
Magazine.
having me.
So, to begin with, I want to know what was the thought behind this ad. We have seen it tapping into nostalgia and that feeling of an unfinished journey. So, what took you to this ad, and what was the thought behind taking in Vinod Kambli to it?
Well, the major credit for it goes to our agency, the whom they came up with the script. And in the script, we had options of 2, 3 more characters in that sense. But Vinod Kambli felt the most right decision that we could have taken in that sense. So there was that emotional part of it. The second part of it was also because the campaign had to break down during the IPL time. So having Vinod Kambli as an ex-cricketer, it all made logical sense for us. So that's why we made the choice on that part.
Okay. So, how would you say that Vinod Kambli's life aligns with the philosophy of Dinshaw's?
Okay, the story first starts with the product insight. Generally, in the market, all brands have cones as a very major product portfolio in that sense. And what we realized that consumption of a cone is a very personal affair. You generally do not like to share cones with somebody else because it's your own personal treat. And more or less, whenever little bit of sharing also happens, you are very, very particular about the bottom chocolate which is there in the cone in that part. And we've seen that I've kind of had fights with my younger sister and siblings all along like that. So that insight never really died off. We wanted to kind of amplify it, and that is where we took up call that if that chocolate quantity is actually increased 3x times, you will be able to kick in a lot of old thoughts, old fights, and a lot of emotions kick in that sense, in like that. And that is how the product came into the picture. With respect to Vinod Kambli getting into the calibration, you see the main line in the campaign, which is Jinko life mein thoda kam mila. Everybody who knows Vinod Kambli and the way his career has progressed upon can relate to it. And for them, something which is 3x more, 3x jada, that's how we came along.
Understood. So right now it might be too soon to ask this, but how has the campaign performed overall, both in terms of brand recall and consumer perception, and also on the business side? Any kind of early metrics that you can share?
Campaign is relatively broken out last Monday itself, so it's relatively very new, but the vibes that we are getting from our followers on various social handles, LinkedIn, and also from on-ground realities, the response has been tremendously very positive. The vibe is good. Traction is growing day on day on the 3x cone category, and that we can literally see in terms of the percentage blip that we are getting and seeing. So that is helping us a lot. And overall, ultimately, we'll have to wait for a little bit of time, but I believe the consumers will also start really identifying that the 3x chocolate and how that is triggering the emotions from childhood and offering that chocolate part on a larger scale on a 3x time percentage basis will be, something which will be unique. And we also believe that it will force the competition also in future to adapt to this 3x chocolate variant even in their cone portfolios, like that.
Understood. So you would say that this campaign is also an extension of the Dildaari Dinshaw's rebranding?
Absolutely. When we started off last year, 2025, we started off with the brand positioning statement, and Dildaari is nothing but an extract coming from the brand positioning statement of irrational generosity in that sense. So everything that we will do at Dinshaw's from here on, it will be associated with Dildaari in some form or the other. It will be probably be with indulgence, quantity, the quantum of ingredients that we use in the product, all those things. So it's been a core. We've always been like that. But when we did the brand positioning survey and we realized this is what people love us for, it is only logical to keep on doing it again and again and again. It's particularly when you are in a category which is as exciting as food and ice creams. I mean, indulgence, Dildaari, it has to be natural. So it's a very logical step for us to continue walking this path and making it larger and larger.
Got it. Because we spoke about this rebranding, how would you say, like, what was the intent behind rebranding, the positioning of the brand, and what objectives did you have in mind?
Okay. We've been in this ice cream business for the last 9 decades.
Yeah.
And over a period of time, the brand had not invested enough to keep the brand equity abreast with all the other competitors. So the brand had to be brought back to one particular level where the brand can remain relevant to today's target audience also in that sense. And that is why that activity, that process of rebranding, revamping everything was really required. The brand was always known for its quality products. The brand was always known for its distribution strengths, and the brand was always known for, being very nitpicky in getting the flavor, the indulgence and the creaminess, the small things which we generally don't think about ice cream. We were very, very nitpicky. It's been in our DNA to be in that sort, in that sense. It's all that it had to be packaged in a way which a consumer of today can feel relevant with, can attach to and understand to. That is why the process of rebranding was very, very crucial, because we were lagging behind. And the efforts that we've put in the last 2 years, we've come way ahead where we were. And I believe times ahead are going to be more exciting.
Great. You would say anything that how much of the objectives have been fulfilled as of now in this 1 year?
Oh, we've achieved quite a bit. We've achieved quite a bit in terms of, Dildaari as an aspect, as a brand positioning, has now started settling into the consumer's mind. And I will be very, very happy to even say that we've started getting vibes from consumers where now consumers expect this Dildaari to come across all our products that we are into in that sense. And so this has also become sort of like, our guidebook. And whenever there is product innovation happening or a new product development happening, we cannot leave and forget that it is this Dildaari and irrational generosity on the basis of which we are developing everything. So it's been a foundation for us for the next 2 years. It's given us positive results, and we really believe that if we continue sticking on to it for a good amount of time, even consumers at the end of the day will start relating to it and will make the brand even more stronger in terms of understanding of what the product portfolio comes from. Like that.
And in the future, will we see more campaigns connected to this Dildaari, like maybe something more?
Everything
like
that we do in future will be linked with Dildaari.
Okay.
Everything.
Got it. You spoke about Dinshaw being a 9-decade-old brand.
Yeah.
So right now, how are you navigating that balance between retaining the core audience and also evolving the brand to appeal to the Gen Z consumers?
Well, things have evolved very dramatically in our favor in that sense. Like if you consider about 5 to 10 years back, for a brand which is regionally very, very strong, for it to create an impact in terms of media and visibility, there were very little avenues in television. And that too, they were very expensive avenues which brands would not be able to afford. But now with the onset of social media, digital platforms, you have Meta, you have Google, you have YouTube, even brands of our size are able to pinpoint, target our audience in the geographies that we want and create a salience. So that has kind of made the playing field a little on a level basis, and we can now compete very rigorously even with national brands. So that's a big boost and a big honor. So that's how the balance has now started shifting, and you will start seeing it across various FMCG product portfolios. There will be sort of these new startups which have also come into the category, whether be it food or any other category, and they are creating waves in that sense. And they are creating waves of fighting national giants. So how is that happening? It's happening on the foundations of innovation, understanding what the consumer requires, the target audience requires, and having the resources and the capability to reach out and communicate with them, which is possible today to do. So that is a major change, and that will help us balance out generate or kind of attach new TG audience to us, the Gen Z audience to us, and even maintain the core that we've always been having since the last 9 decades.
Got it. So as you rightly spoke about digital first formats, there is CTV integrations, there are sport integrations. So based on all of it, how are you recalibrating your media mix between traditional and digital formats? Which would you say are you heavy on?
Oh, we
currently?
dramatically shifted in the last 2-3 years more towards the digital side. It is now almost 90% on the digital side. Our expenditure on these kind of media platforms, social media platforms and all is almost now 90%, because our TG in the ice cream category, which is considered to be from, let's say, 16-17 years to 45 years, this will be close to about 90% of our TG, all hooked on to social media, all hooked on to phone gadgets, all hooked on to the YouTubes and the Metas of the world. So everything has very clearly shifted on this platform, and over and all, we've seen other bigger brands in the space also move in this direction itself.
Okay. So on digital, which mediums will you say you're heavy on? Is it performance marketing? Is influencer marketing? So which one would you prefer? And
So
how
bo-
is it working out basically?
So both are very different aspects. Performance marketings are all more linked towards QCOM, in which we've started now our journey and getting very good results. It will take us a little bit of time to stabilize, but I believe in the next 1 year, availability of all Dinshaw's products across various QCOM hubs and cities in 8 to 10 states will be relatively achieved, and we will be able to do good work over there. Influencer marketing today, yes, it is one aspect, and studies tells us that consumers today do really get influenced by influencers today as such. So over the last 2 years also, the amount of content which has been created by these so-called influencer marketers have dramatically increased, depending on the TG and the product that we are doing. So yes, I mean, there is an increasing trend of usage of influencer marketing, and definitely when it comes to performance marketing, as we keep on adding more and more geographies in your QCOM businesses, it will keep on growing up.
Okay.
Both are very, very crucial.
And is Samir print a option in the marketing strategy?
Yes, it does, but it becomes a little tactical and little strategic in certain areas where you do not have the traditional mediums of, let's say, connected TV difficult for you to reach out, or you are not, let's say, expanding into the entire state and you're doing only partial part of the state, then yes, print mediums do become very effective to create the recall that you want.
Got it. Another thing is that Q-commerce, some months back, there was change that the 10-minute positioning has been removed. So after that, have you seen any kind of a difference in the demand by consumers? Because ice cream has that tendency that it might melt, and especially in Mumbai heat. So anyway, you have seen a change in demand?
For the ice cream industry, QCOM is almost like a divine gift. I'm not really bothered if the 10-minute delivery does not happen in 10 minutes but happens in 15 minutes. All the QCOM players today are taking enough precaution to see that the product is delivered in the right temperature, right state to your respective homes. QCOMs are also investing very heavily in dark hubs, so that makes the travel time even lesser comparatively in that sense. And so I'm not really worried about even if 10 minutes becomes 15 or 20 minutes, because ice cream is an impulse decision consumption. And for impulse decision to happen today, if you're getting a delivery in 10-20 minutes, I think it's a perfect combination of what the consumer desires, the ease and availability of the products on your cell phone, the ability to pay up, and the products reaching in and you consuming it there and there itself. I think there could not be anything more bigger in the ice cream industry for quick com to come in. I think probably QCOM's birth in India and the rising growth on it, it will have a major impact on the ice cream industry in particular for almost all brands. And there will be no brand which cannot take QCOM very seriously in that sense. It will force brands to innovate, it will force brands to, because you have all these Gen Zs today on QCOM, and they are not going to keep on eating the same product again and again. So innovation is again going to become a key aspect on it. So it's going to force brands to innovate more rapidly, get more deeper into consumer insights, what is happening, maybe even pick up insights from other food related items which are like your bakery desserts and all, and get inspired from there, and let's say create an ice cream version or something. All these things are bound to happen. So I mean, very exciting times ahead with QCOM ahead coming up.
Understood. So now, ice cream and dairy foods is a category that is, it's dominated by national giants with higher spends. So I would like to know from you, what approach do you have to differentiate it in the market for the brand? Any marketing or any other approach that helps you differentiate within this cluttered market?
Number one, in ice cream category, innovation becomes key. You may have 10 times more money to spend on advertising, but if you do not have an innovation pipeline, nothing will work out. The target audience, the TG, the Gen Z today are not really gung-ho about how big the brand is. They are more worried or concerned about what offerings they are getting. What is the kind of innovation what is the kind of flavor profile that you are getting? How innovative you are to create new things. These are the things which today the normal target audience is keen on, not the size of the organization. So any brand which is going to be very heavily invested in product innovation, even with a lesser budget, will be able to compete fiercely and will be able to create the impact which the consumers are looking for. So not worried on that aspect at all.
Another thing is that ice cream is a category that is, it continues to be a seasonal choice. So how are you structurally reducing this dependence, and what kind of product strategy, or how are you going ahead with adjacent categories to minimize this problem?
Yes, ice cream today is still a very seasonal business comparatively. Close to about 60% of ice cream today in India gets sold in the 4 months of summer, and the remaining 40% in the remaining 8 months of summer in that sense. But this trend is equalizing, I would rather say, very rapidly. The trends are changing very fast in metro cities, but even tier 2, tier 3 towns are coming up, and I believe in the next 7-10 years we should come to a conclusion where ice cream will not be consumed just because it is very hot or it is summertime. Ice cream will be consumed in our country simply because of the flavor profile and the kind of innovative nature of the category in that sense. So it is going to become like that. It is bound to happen. This is the same way what today we are seeing in Europe and US happening in that sense. Similar trend will keep on coming in. You also have the category of the health category in ice creams. So even that is going to get evolved with low sugar or zero cal or low cal products that are there, or keto ice creams that are there. These products will also keep on evolving, and all players will play the same game in that sense. And at the end of the day, it is a food product. So food product has to taste really good on your palate, and whichever brand is able to achieve that will win the race.
Got it. So, but then what about the other categories? Like, how is it your marketing divided between the other categories, ice cream? How is it?
So Dinshaw's portfolio, 50% of the revenue comes from the ice cream category, and 50% comes, majorly other 50% comes from the dairy, bakery, and the snacks category. So dairy business is a 365-day constant aligned business in that sense. So for a dairy like us, where half the portfolio is coming from dairy, even the non-off-season months, which you talk about, your monsoon months and your winter months, the dairy business is always throttling at the same pace in that sense. So it does not really impact in terms of our operational capability and performance in that sense. And over a period of time, we did realize that almost all ice cream brands, which are purely ice cream brands, do face that heat. That crunch of the pressure happens in 4 months, and then the rest of the year you are sitting idle with bare minimum work to do in that sense. And we realized that long time back, and that is where diversification started happening in other food categories. We now have a bakery category which has come up. We also have a small snacks and namkeen category which has come up, which we are again investing behind these categories also. And over the next 5-6 years, these categories will also become very big as such. So when you look at these categories becoming big, the overall portfolio will become more balanced and probably more equated throughout the 12 months of the year in that sense.
So currently, how is your revenue divided between marketing and other things? Like, what is the percentage of revenue that is allocated for marketing?
So for the ice cream category, we generally, for the last 2-3 years have been allocating close to about 5% of our revenue. It's been an industry standards. Certain times, certain brands may probably exceed that depending if they are doing more geographical expansion, and the more geographical expansion that you do, then obviously your marketing budgets and all will go up. But on an average, we are maintaining a 5% ratio, and it is doing decent amount of work for us.
Okay. So as you expand, do you have any plans to make any changes to the marketing, funnel you are right now going on with?
Oh yes. As we keep on expanding our geographies, when we are going and launching into a new metro cities will require a good chunk of investments happening for the first 1, 2, 3 years till the brand establishes over there. So whenever those opportunities are there, obviously we will go beyond 5%. But that's a calculated investment that the brand is willing to make, because if you do not make those investments, the brand does not get established. So it's a necessity that has to be done. So whenever these opportunities will keep coming up, we will not shy away from doing the investment which is required to build the brand in a particular market.
Got it. So finally, Dinshaw has evolved from a regional legacy-led brand into it's going into a undergoing a shift. You have done a brand repositioning. So there's a reset that we can see. So how would you qualify this journey in terms of growth so far from what it has come from? And going ahead, what kind of growth are you targeting? What aims and objectives do you have to achieve that?
So, see, the brand really definitely required a shake-up, which we've been able to achieve with our brand positioning statements, packaging revision and all that. And overall, what has changed in the last 2-3 years, more so the most important thing is the approach that we are looking at it. We're looking at it in a more aggressive manner, wanting to grow in bigger states, wanting to increase our market share in the geographies that we are also currently present in, and targeting new geographies. So there is going to be a balance of it as such. And with respect to the ice cream industry grows generally on the basis of close to about 10 to 15% on an annual basis. We have a modest, little better target of growing at least at around 20%, and maintain that 20% growth ratio year on year, on the basis of innovation, on the basis of new product introductions, geography expansion, and obviously the investments that are required in terms of freezers and all that go in the market on a yearly basis. That will keep on going up and sustain at 20%. So we have a very balanced approach. Don't think like a startup where you have to go 300 times, 300x. We are looking at a 20%x, but maintain and sustain growth consistently. That is what the target is.
Understood. And would you say that offline markets are also doing well, or online or digital markets are better?
In India, general trade or offline, what you call, still holds close to, even in the ice cream category, still holds 95% of the market.
Okay.
Yeah, GT is not going to go away anywhere. Yes, there is a significant increase in your QCOM businesses and modern trades and all, but general trade is always going to be there like that, and it still commands close to about 95% bare minimum. In the ice cream category, yes, it is there. I mean, 95% of sales today is happening offline in general trade. In that sense, that is not going to change dramatically for some time. QCOM will definitely increase very rapidly, but still far away to say that QCOM is challenging GT. At least in the ice cream category, that's not the case.
Got it. Understood. Thank you so much for this discussion, and I wish you all the best for all the Dildaari campaigns that we are going to see in the future.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.